A fork is a move that attacks two pieces at once. Ideally, we will have a check fork. In this situation, we have a knight right here. We're going to go ahead and take. That's going to put the king in check, and it's going to allow us to win the rook. But ideally, we have a check fork, so one cannot get out of it. And the question one might have is, how exactly do we get out of a fork? And the answer to that is by checking. In this situation right here, white has a knight. It finds a beautiful fork that forks the queen and the rook. Well, how do we get out of this? We can't exactly capture the knight, but we can put the king in check. And that's important because after the king moves, we can now move the rook in a different position, and we are now out of the fork. But that can only work if one is able to check in that situation. In addition to knights, forks can also be done with pieces such as the rook, bishop, or queen. In this case right here, we can either fork with the bishop right here, or alternatively, we could also do the same fork with a queen, although the queen wouldn't be as effective because it's not going to be able to get that piece. However, usually the best forks for a queen are late in a game where there's a lot of space and it can hit pieces, such as in this case right here. We would like to win the rook. We're going to have to do a check fork where we force the king to move. If one said take e5 check, now basically white has 6 different options. None of them will be able to protect the rook from a check fork. A pen occurs when one piece is pinned to another. In this case, the rook is pinned to the other rook. Now, of course, the rook has a queen protecting it, so it's not an effective pen. There's 2 types of pens. There's a relative pen where one piece is pinned to another, such as this right here. And there's also an absolute pen where a piece is pinned to the king. With a relative pen, basically a piece can move. So in this case, we're going to move the bishop right here. The rook is relatively pinned to this rook. It's also relatively pinned to the queen. So that means basically that white can move and put the king in check. Well, after black is forced to capture, guess what? Its rook is in trouble. Okay, so it can move the rook. That's fine. But unfortunately, it cannot, and I repeat, it cannot move the queen other than to take right here, because this is an absolute pin to the king. Its options are limited. Its best option is probably to take right here and give up the queen and at least get some material in exchange. So that's the difference between an absolute and a relative pen. Pens can also be effective at neutralizing attacking positions. In this case, we're playing as white. We would like to play rook to the corner, put the king in check, but the rook can block. There's a better move here, and that involves taking the queen and pinning the rook to the king. Now, the rook that is pinned cannot move. The other rook can move, but what good can he do in this spot? And if black decides to move the king out, well, guess what? We now have checkmate. A skewer is somewhat similar to a pen, except the check goes through the king to win another piece. In this example right here, we have a queen. We're down material, but we have a move that's going to be very powerful. That's right, we're going to play h1 check. And the reason that is so powerful is because, well, white can't block. White basically has to move its king. There's only 2 squares to go, and no matter which one it goes to, it's going to lose the queen via skewer in both scenarios. and that's what makes it very effective. One of my favorite moves is discovery, and this can be done multiple ways. In this case, black is going to move the bishop out, and the idea here is to take the pawn and attack this bishop right here. We have a way to prevent that, and it's called discovery. That's right. We're going to move our rook and take this undefended pawn right here, and the reason for that is if black were to do this, we get the queen. Alternatively, if black decides to take with the bishop, guess what? We also get the queen. So discovery is very valuable here, and that means even after the queen moves, well, guess what? We can go here and win the bishop, and then yes, the queen could take, but guess what? We could simply just move this rook anywhere, and we would have a discovered move on the queen. Now the queen has to move. My favorite type of discovered move involves having like a rook behind a bishop, or a bishop behind a rook, or having a knight in that situation as well. In this case right here, we've got a rook lined up on the queen. We need to be able to attack the queen. If we move here, queen can escape, right? So we don't want to do that. Instead, what we want to be able to do is look for ways to deliver checks. So in this case, we could check the king right here. Queen protects the bishop. King has to move. And then from there, we can go ahead and take the queen via discovery.